Once again, my name is Esther Chozira. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of NUDIPO. Today, we are here to celebrate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, which is going to be celebrated tomorrow. But as part of the pre-activities, we have organized a symposium to reflect on the theme. And the theme today is improving household incomes for persons with disabilities. There's a press statement that you have been given. I'll just speak through it. I'll not read verbatim. Isn't it better to give them now so that they follow? Okay. Yeah, for me, I have no problem that they can receive them, because for me, I'm not going to read everything. I'm just going to speak through the paper. Okay. So if we are ready, I can go on. So today, NUDIPO, together with the East African Center for Disability Law and Policy and the Uganda Women's Media Association, we are convening this press conference to highlight some of the key achievements that government has made under the theme of improving household incomes for persons with disabilities. For the well-being of persons with disabilities, in 2022, government made several commitments that were aimed at uplifting the standard of persons with disabilities in Uganda under the Global Summit commitments. And in 2018, similar commitments had also been made in the same aspect of uplifting the standard of persons with disabilities under the same arrangement. And as we speak, we want to acknowledge that government has done a lot in this regard of uplifting the standard of persons with disabilities, and this is evident through the special grant of persons with disabilities. We have a number of groups of persons with disabilities that have benefited from this grant since it was started in 2009. And we also acknowledge that government has reinvested 10% of the parish development model program to target persons with disabilities. To us, this is a plus, and we appreciate this. But we still note that whereas this has been achieved, there are still several challenges and a number of commitments that government has not yet attended to, which we want that as we celebrate the International Day of Persons with Disabilities this year on 3rd December 2024, we note that one, government has not yet instituted the quota system that they committed to do. The quota system was supposed to be instituted by the minister in charge of disability through consultation with the Federation of Uganda Employers and the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. And this was supposed to enable persons with disabilities get job opportunities or employment opportunities across the different sectors, both public and private. But to date, this has not yet been achieved. And the danger with persons with disabilities not having gainful employment is that their household incomes will not improve whatsoever. Then two, we still have challenges that persons who have severe disabilities, especially children, need to have the social assistance grant given to them. But as we speak, there is no policy in this regard, and yet we still see many children with severe disabilities struggling with life and management of their disability. Then also government had committed to increase the number of students with disabilities that are acquiring affirmative action from 64 to 320. This commitment has not been implemented at all. We still find challenges as we are advocating for the 10% under the parish development model. We find that the technical teams that are working on disability have not yet understood who a person with disability is, and as a result, we are finding many people at the community level not benefiting from this program, and those that are benefiting are not necessarily persons with disabilities. And this, in a way, has affected the targeting of persons with disabilities who must benefit from the 10%. The other challenge we have is that the parish development model looks at only one person in a household, and yet you know that our people with disabilities cannot live alone in a household. We have caretakers and other people who support us, and this has limited the number of persons with disabilities that are benefiting from the parish development model. The other challenge that is affecting household incomes is the climate change, the environmental barriers. You all know that there are many changes in different places in regarding the climate, and persons with disabilities are many times not given the early warnings that are given to the others. And as a result, many of them are losing lives, and they are also not benefiting from the agricultural programs that would be increasing their household incomes. So as a result, what are we asking government to do in a way of increasing the household incomes that we are advocating for today? I want to invite Mr. Yofisa or Yuki to take us through these actions, and then we proceed.
Thank you very much, CEO. For Disability Affairs, in consultation with the National Council for Persons with Disabilities and the employers' organizations to increase employment rates for the qualified persons with disabilities in Uganda. This is what Persons with Disabilities Act guides. It shall eventually contribute towards increased household income because it shall enable unemployed qualified persons with disabilities to be employed. Action number 2. We call government through Minister of Gender to fulfill her promise of ensuring the production of annual reports on the employment status of persons with disabilities in Uganda. Number 3, the government through the Minister of Gender should fulfill her promise of expanding the Social Assistant Empowerment Grant, Social Empowerment Program to integrate a regular transfer for persons with severe disabilities, such as deafblind, those with severe physical disabilities, and those with severe cerebral palsy. Number 4, the government should fulfill her promise of increasing the number of students with disabilities joining public universities on affirmative action from 64 to 320. Number 5, the government should collaborate with NODIPO to support district technical teams working on parish development model program with knowledge on disability. Number 6, there is need for prioritization of persons with disabilities in the upcoming mass enrollment for the national IDs to ensure that they get national identity cards. Good enough, we have severely engaged them with the National Council for Persons with Disabilities and trained all NIRA senior management on disability inclusion. Action number 7 that we call, there should be revision of the parish development model program guidelines that benefits only one person to benefit more persons with disabilities in the household. Action number 8, the government should strengthen climate change mitigation and adaptation, including using inclusive early warning systems while regularly engaging with organizations of persons with disabilities. Action number 9 that we call for, government should prioritize enterprise selection and training in enterprise management skills.
As you look at the theme, improved household income for the well-being of persons with disabilities, we all note the contributions women normally make in our country, and the women with disabilities are not any far from making those contributions. As you also note that many women with disabilities live single lives, and that means that they actually have a lot of burdens in terms of being a woman, and then also being a woman with disability, and then also being a woman who is a single mother. And this person takes care of the children, but not only her biological children, even the extended families, because of the nature of us Africans, and then the family members. So the women with disabilities play a key role so much in improving household incomes. But of course, as they do that, the burden is just too much. I want us to understand that there are a number of challenges. The CEO has already mentioned some of the things, but I wanted us also to note the issues that affect these women with disabilities when they are trying to improve their household income. You note that many of the women are so much engaged in petty businesses, from selling vegetables, going to markets, but also the biggest challenge is how accessible are these markets? How are the facilities in these markets? These are very challenging situations that sometimes hinder their performance in getting their income. We also note a number of government programs is there, but how are these women accessing these government programs? Because of accessing to information, because a number of these government programs are either heard out through radios, televisions, and sometimes the community development staff mobilize people to come for this meeting, but sometimes you find these women are never mobilized. So accessing information for the different programs also becomes a big problem. The other thing is looking at the mobility appliances. We all note that many persons with disabilities use different mobility appliances, and for these women, they also have to use these different appliances. The cost in terms of getting these appliances, getting to the market, the distance also is one thing that that hinder sometimes the increase of their income. The other thing that we also note as a challenge is basically increased additional costs, because as a mother, you will always have to have a woman with disability, you have a wheelchair, you need somebody to push you, but also you are having a baby. You may also need a babysitter. So all this increases their cost, and as they are improving household income, a lot of cost also goes into these other things that needs to be taken care of. And then the other thing is that the other challenge is that most of our women with disabilities lack exposure. They lack exposure in terms of generating income at their household, and this somehow also affects the income at house level. And then the program manager Nodipo has talked about adaptive technology. As we note that a number of businesses now are going into use of technologies, and how do we make the women get to these adaptive technologies is a big challenge. And of course, we also note the big challenge of manipulation. Sometimes it's also done by the family members. But nonetheless, government has at least done a number of things, but a number of programs. But the women are very good in terms of when you make comparison. Though these women, government has failed to come out with specific numbers or percentage for women to access this. And for me, my recommendation here is that all these government programs that government has put in place, looking at women, looking at the additional cost, can government come out specifically with a specific percentage of these different government programs to see that women with disabilities benefit? And then the government also need to see how we can improve into the adaptive technology in terms of cost. This may be on and off for women, but also persons with disabilities, looking at the different disabilities, that we really need to see how government can make these technologies much more cheaper so that we really see that these people get to. For example, when we are talking about knowing the prices outside there, we need these technologies. We need the issue of cost of data. This is also something that government needs to. And then lastly, as we are going in for this, the quota system needs also to be unpacked to take care of how many women with disabilities are in this quota system. Thank you very much.
Yes, I'm Emmanuel, the chairperson of the district union, Kumi district. Now, as the CEO has requested, maybe I will just go direct to the recommendations. Because as a district union, we had a discussions and we had issues whereby we came up with some recommendations, because in Kumi district we have a challenge. One of the recommendations is that there is a challenge of interpreters. That's why you find that when it is a national function like this one, you get the interpreters around the area. But as a district union, we recommended to the district, if at all, they can recruit or train and recruit the interpreters so that our people with the deaf hearing problem can also be involved in almost all development programs. And then the other one, also as a district union, discussed and recommended that almost all government programs, at least PWDs, should also be integrated in all those development programs. If at all they are included in the development programs, you will see that the lives of persons with disabilities will also improve. And then the other and the third one, we also recommended, after discussions during the recruitment, we discussed and recommended that if at all the district service commission, because we have our PWDs who have the required documents to be recruited, if at all they can be recruited, and whereby we have a member of the district service commission, a person with disabilities, and we were like, if at all this person can support, provided that person with disability has the required documents to be considered. And then the third one, the fourth one, we were like, we recommended that as a district union, if the district can integrate all PWDs into development programs, because they take, for example, like the CEO talked, she talked about the integration of persons with disabilities in these development programs. Like PDM, the percentage is too low. For us as a district union, we have very many people with disabilities who need to be helped. But when you look at the percentage, it is very minimal. If at all the government can reconsider and increase the percentage of people with disabilities to benefit in the PDM. Those are some of the recommendations.